WATM. This is a Local 24 breaking news alert.
And there is a lot breaking right now, folks. Memphis police, Shelby County deputies, the TBI, and US Marshals all on the scene of a shooting involving a US Marshal in Frayser. A situation honestly so tense, police are in riot gear, and a triage has been set up for injured officers.
Yeah, that's right, Richard. Now, the initial shooting, it happened about 2 hours ago, and it was in the 2000 block of Durham. Right now, crowd control becoming an issue. Already, officers report being injured, rocks being thrown at them. Local 24 News bringing you team coverage of this volatile situation tonight.
Reporters Rebecca Butcher and Caitlin McCarthy covering the shooting and the crowd's reaction to it. Let's start first with Rebecca. What have you learned about what happened and led to this situation right now?
Well, good evening, Richard, and also Christina. We've moved to a much calmer area here in the Frayser area that it was very out of control where we were earlier. That was at Overton Crossing. Right now, we're actually here closer to where that U.S. Marshal officer-involved shooting happened earlier this evening, reported around 7 p.m. We're near the 2000 block of Durham Street. Now, we know that this was a U.S. Marshal-involved shooting, that police and deputies are here only for crowd control, according to information officers. I did get a chance to speak with one woman who lives nearby. She says that she came out when she heard reportedly 16 shots being fired in this area here in Durham Street. We've also heard a number of helicopters overhead nearby. Police continue to come here close to the scene. You can see officers here. They do have some riot gear with them, making their way closer to this area. Now, right now, it's not sure who this victim is, but we do know that the TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, they do come to these scenes. Like they say, they're coming to this scene here this evening when they do investigate deadly officer-involved shootings. So we're still trying to get more information on that victim.
Becca, can you hear me? This is Katina.
And then also we're waiting for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
I know you have the helicopter above you. Want to make sure that you hear me. So just to be clear, a U.S. Marshal was actually serving some type of warrant, and a neighbor says that she came out after hearing how many gunshots, did you say?
I just asked her before this live hit. She says that she heard 16 gunshots. She came outside to investigate, and she said a little bit later on she saw at least 3 ambulances coming to this area. Now, right now, it's not clear if that person is dead. We do not have official word on if the victim has died, and we're still waiting for word on that from authorities on the situation here in Frayser.
Just before you pulled back, Rebecca, we were watching the video feed in the monitor in the newsroom there, and we saw the police in riot gear, and it appeared that even our photographer was injured or something was thrown at his camera. Is that true? Is that why you guys moved back? And we have heard since that tear gas is being used.
Yeah. Right. We do know that officers have dispensed tear gas closer to where that volatile, very hostile to us scene was, in that area closer to Overton Crossing. And yes, our photographer Patrick, he did get hit in the face on the side of his cheek. I don't know if you guys caught the live hit, those watching, the viewers earlier on our CW channel in the 9 o'clock show, but we just had to cut that live hit because he was hit in the face. Thankfully, though, he's okay, and we since moved to a much calmer area here near Durham, where the shooting was reported earlier this evening.
Rebecca, before we let you go, from watching that live feed, I just really could not tell why the crowd was so angry. Can you take me into some of that conversation that they were having with you and telling you why they were so mad about what was going on?
They were very angry. We heard a lot of reports of people saying F12, which means the police, people angry at the police, some men even spitting at the police. We're believing this all stems in reaction from the shooting, the officer-involved shooting that happened here earlier in the evening. These people have been out here for at least a couple of hours. It started raining. No one left. They still stayed in the area. And like you guys saw earlier, there was a line. Police were saying, hold the line, even though rocks, bottles, and other objects, sharp objects were being thrown at them.
Well, Rebecca, please continue to stay safe. We did see that the camera move once the photographer Patrick was hit. We're glad you're in a good location. Please keep us up to date. We want to continue following this because we've heard reports that protesters were actually throwing rocks at officers on the scene. You just heard Rebecca report that.
Yeah, we heard on the scanners officers calling for riot gear to protect themselves, as well as creating a triage for the injured officers, bricks and stones being thrown at them, as we understand it.
That's right. And right now we know that Local 24 News reporter Caitlin McCarthy, she joins us with more information. You're there at a triage where you have found out that some officers have been hurt. Can you tell me how many officers are and where they were injured?
So, Richard and Katina, I'm here live in Frayser now. Just behind me is where the triage, where they're helping two officers who were injured. They said rocks were thrown at their face. Now, we got here at about 9:30, so we got here just about 30 minutes ago. We haven't seen any other officers going into the ambulances, but they have it set up for any other officers who are injured in this. Now, we got here, just like I said, just 30 minutes ago, and we've been, asking people around the area what they've been seeing. They have a lot of questions. They want answers, and there's still, tens of people here looking out to see what they can find out.
Thank you. We have been seeing officers maybe not being taken to the hospital, but paramedics have been treating them in the back of ambulances. They are tweeting that several officers did receive minor injuries, which is good news. And that's basically what's happening is they're being checked by paramedics to make sure they're okay.
Okay, Caitlin, thank you so much. Listen, I just want to recap exactly what all we've been telling you. The Memphis Police Department actually saying that the O. Allen Station officers received a call from assistance from the US Marshals, and that was regarding a shooting that happened in the 2000 block of Durham. As you see now, MPD is on the scene assisting with traffic control, and we are told, as you heard Caitlin and Rebecca both say, that several officers have received minor injuries, and that's from people throwing bricks and rocks at the officers. Those officers are being checked by the paramedics, and MPD officers are securing the area, and that's so TBI can come to the scene, because once there is an officer-involved shooting of any kind here in the Memphis area, the TBI comes out.
Especially if it's a fatal situation, but because a U.S. Marshal was involved, we can't tell you for sure tonight that this was a deadly shooting. We also don't know what the U.S. Marshal was doing. Were they serving a warrant or something of that nature? But as you're looking at some of the video, this is from about when things were really tense and the riot gear first came out, what we're showing you there, that was when we knew it was going to be a long night. And even though there's been a little bit of rain in that area, and John's going to get into that a little bit later, it has not really tampered the crowds from what we can tell.
No, not at all. And this is one gentleman who was actually spitting toward the police.
Yep.
You see him doing that. And then there were people who were trying to get him to move back. At one point, Memphis police officers began walking toward the crowd. We even saw police spraying some tear gas into the crowd, trying to get that crowd to leave. I think at its height, we saw about 100 people out there in that area, and some actually having words with police there.
I would say at least 100 people at one point. Now, what we also don't know was the person shot by the U.S. Marshal, did that person die? We're waiting to find out confirmation of that. We also don't know exactly how many officers were injured, just that several have been, according to Memphis police. So very volatile situation. We're going to keep an eye on this. Anytime there's a police or officer involved shooting, it's going to draw attention, but this seems to be drawing more attention than most.
Absolutely. Listen, we're going to stay on top of this. As you saw, we do have 2 crews out in the field. Make sure you go to localmemphis.com and then download our app on the Apple Store or in Google Play to get the very latest.